This is Truth Be Told.
That not only are there reptilians here,
new evidence of UFO fleets.
We were close to nuclear war.
To help you transform so that you can live your highest truth.
We're not being told just because we're not ready for it.
Radio stations of frequency, vibrational.
I was a homicide detective with LAPD.
UFOs increase. Visitations. You want to be enlightened? Well, today on Truth Be Told Paranormal, we're going to venture into the profound depths of ancient wisdom with the special guide to understanding a life's ultimate transition. We're exploring the Tibetan Book of the Dead for beginners, a guide to living and dying. This episode isn't just another ghost story or eerie encounter. Today we're joined by two remarkable authors who made the Tibetan teaching accessible to all. Lama Lhanang, a respected teacher in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, and Mordy, Levine, who has spent decades unraveling the mysteries of spiritual text. Together, they've tailored these age-old teachings to aid us not only in dying, but also in living a more fully life. Today, their approach brings new light to these teachings, focusing on how they can also enhance our everyday lives, infuse peace into our living moments, and prepare us spiritually for what comes beyond. So whether you're a spiritual seeker, curious skeptic, or something in between, today's discussion promises to be profoundly moving and practical. Well, I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Please welcome to the Truth Be Told studios for the first time, Lama Lhanang and Mordy Levine, talking about the Tibetan Book of the Dead for beginners. Welcome to the show. Hello, hello. How are you both today?
Wonderful, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to have you here because this is a topic, honestly, I've never talked about in almost 1,000 episodes. I've talked about pretty much anything Egyptian and Peru and Machu Picchu and all this good stuff, but this is something I've never really touched on, and I'm glad we get a subject to that I'm kind of a beginner at. So, which is a perfect title for your book for beginners. So, first of all, where do we start? Let's find out what the Tibetan Book of the Dead is, and then we can kind of dive into kind of what it means.
Rinpoche, do you want to tackle that one, or should I?
You can start. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Tibetan Book of the Dead was written 8th century, 9th century by a great master named Guru Padmasambhava, or otherwise known as Guru Rinpoche. But it wasn't really discovered until the 14th century by another great Buddhist master. And the contents or the subject of the book is really directions or a guide to help people get through the afterlife once they die, and so that they can have an auspicious rebirth or go to the Pure Land or become enlightened. And the crux of it is that the way that you live your life now will determine how you die in the afterlife. So it's really a set of guides and directions for that purpose.
And so when this was written, what was the purpose was, definitely kind of give you the rundown on the transitional part of it. But I found it interesting is how you live your life is how you're going to experience death. So in a way that could be a little scary for people that did not live their life well. So let's take it from there on what does it mean by how you live your life affects the way you transition? What does that mean?
Rinpoche?
Okay, so there's so many ways we can talk about this, and in this book has the teachings of the six bardos, which is it's like afterlife, but also in this life, dream times, meditation times, going to dying, rebirth, different how this circle of teachings is, there's 6 Bardo teachings that teaches in how to live and how to die, and completely these teachings content. And how to fully live in is, when you have a peace in your home, happiness in your heart, then you are fully living. It doesn't matter money or a material world or a luxurious life. It is very important to you live. You have a peace in your home, happiness in your heart, then you are living fully.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that that makes sense. Life is a lot simpler than probably what we make it out to be. So I love that. So how does the Tibetan Book of the Dead for beginners interpret the concept of bardos in comparison to like traditional Tibetan text, Buddhist text?
Tibetan Buddhist text has there's teachings have 6 bardos called the Bardo Tudor, and somebody really listen carefully and understands the meaning of the words. They liberate us in this moment, and also they liberate us one moment of dying. So, and there's whole teachings complete, but this is just for beginners, for kind of everybody understands. And the deeper levels of this book is need the kind of teachings of ascetic teachings, which is see good teachings. You have to be training and how to be learning really deeper with your guru to and learning. So that's the difference. Is this is in these times, very difficult times, 21st century. So many people dying since the COVID-19, and the people struggles. That's why we talk about and we become made this book available for everyone. Begins to understand a little bit about the how to live in and how to die.
On my show, we've talked many times about near-death experiences, reincarnation, many things like this. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or even just in Buddhism, what is the thought about reincarnation or even the transition? In Christianity, it's like the golden streets and the mansions and the thrones and all that stuff. What is their theory or their thought on what is after, and do we get reincarnated?
Depends the karma. You see, your family is not follow you when you're dying. Your health is not follow you, and so when you're dying, and karma follows, and that's why. You want to know the past life karma. You can look in your own life, this moment and this now. Then that told you, and what you're doing is brings the future life. It's everything is relative, and that's why it's sort of really training in this way. There's no death. Death is a liberation. If somebody don't know, then is the death is difficult because they don't know, and they think it's something's bad. But everything is a birth is a natural, death is natural. It's a really bad or anything, but just the impermanence.
One thing we also talk about is karma and the concept of karma, and I'm curious on both of your theories or thoughts on the practical advice for living ethically. I mean, how it seems like every religion kind of makes their own rules up to where people have to live by, but what is necessarily karma rules towards the religion, and how do we just live a better life? Talk to make our karma a little bit better when we do transition?
Buddhist is we really just a sub-religion. We don't depend with anybody.
Right.
And just live as a self. And what you want, and you can create that. You want a peace, you just be peaceful. You have to happy, you just be happy. What kind of feature you want, you can, that kind of karma and that kind of journey you can start. And that's why as the karma, the driver is our mind. Our mind self-nature is a clear light, but our thinking is the karma. If your thinking is good, what you thinking in your brain, that's a very good karma. But if your thinking is bad, that's just a bad karma.
Right.
So really it's up to you what you want and what you wish for. Everything is in your hand. So anyway, I just don't want to talk about to myself. I just want Mordy answers about it.
Come on, Mordy.
I'd rather listen to you than to speak. As Rinpoche said, many different ways to look at karma. One of the ways that might be make sense to people is we can live our lives very selfishly. Rinpoche talked about motivation, what's in your mind. So when you make a decision, you're making a selfish decision. I'm doing this for me. It's all about me, I. Pretty much how we live our lives. That generates negative karma. If you do selfless activities, selfless speech to support others, and there's a recognition that we are integrated with other people, the whole planet, that generates positive karma. So if you live your life holding on very tightly to this is mine and me, and I'm the most important thing in the world, and you live your life that way, then when you do die, if you can keep holding on, grasping, being attached, money, people, power, sex, whatever it is, that generates negative karma. That's what you take through the bardo, and that's how you are reborn with that karma, with that consciousness. The only thing you take with you into the bardo, into the next life, is your karma.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So let's say a child was born, I feel that children are born pure. Karma reset, and I hope I'm correct, that when we come to this life that we are pure. So if we grow up in a family that is abusive, substance abuse, physically abuse, and it creates a person that has resentment, trust issues, pretty much, anything bad that could happen has happened to them, and they go on in life living the life that they were taught. How does karma look at that as a human being that's living I guess, is it soul living a human experience, or vice versa? But how does karma look at that as a person that grew up with, that's all they knew was bad, and so they took that with them until the day they transition?
Yes, there's so many ways we could talk about that subject. It's a very good subject. So you see, the karma is many lifetime karmas.
Right.
Past lifetime karma, this lifetime, and so which means we have good karma to born as a kind of human being.
Right.
The human being's life is a very like a great vehicle to achieve what you want to achieve. But at the same time, also, your karma to born in that kind of family,
right,
and that kind of parents, and that kind of environment, that is already ranged in many lifetimes. And even though scientifically also before they were born, something happens in the energy world. So you see, what I'm saying here is sometimes we think it's like this, but for example, once there's a Buddhist master lives in the mountains, this two-story, and he is dedicated, and he has rich, valuable things. And then thief comes, and the thief sees the valuable things he want to kill, and he cut his head. So what happens then? The thief can run out, and in the morning early comes back, and this great master is making the breakfast. Then the thief say, "I'm so sorry. You are really real great master," and apologize, and I'm sorry. And then, the Lama, the master was, What you saying? Just have breakfast. And I'm so happy, I never see people in these mountains. And then he said, I killed you last night, but you're living. It's amazing. Then Lama says, oh, that was you. I thought it's an illusion, but that was you. Then Lama realized, he said, oh, thank you very much, because many lifetimes ago, I killed the bee as a child, killed the bee, and I cut the head. And I owe that karma. And that is the reason I come to this. Then the master thanks to the thief, and he had fell down. And that's true story. Also, this that thief went to the monastery, and he's scared, and then he never want to steal and things like that. They have a long story, but I just want to be shortcut. So something like a karma is there's so many layers. So right now we are in the air. We are talking. This is also there's many lifetimes range to we are together put in the air.
And can karma? Let's say that for 40 years you lived not quite a good life, but you had this epiphany or an experience or something tragic changed your direction in life, and you started doing good. Can the good outweigh the bad at the end of your life?
Oh yeah, definitely. The good and the bad is neighbors. Sometimes the bad thing happens that we connect with the good thing. That's why we really look as the good. When good things come, you have to be humble. Difficult things come to life take as a lesson. So then you can learn something. You can transform that, and So this is all good and bad, happy and sad, light and dark. In this world, everything's kind of two things.
Right.
And so yes, definitely. There's this difficult things turns in a good way, and we have these opportunities. Definitely, that is karma, good karma.
For people that maybe are starting to realize that they're not living quite the way they should. What practices does this book recommend for building wisdom and compassion for humanity?
So it's very difficult to wake up in the morning and say, gee, I'm going to be a good person.
Right.
I'm going to be selfless.
Yeah.
I'm going to become the Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa starting right now. I mean, that's a great thought, but it's very difficult because we have, I'm 65, so I have 50, 60 years of habits in my mind of how I think about life, how I think of myself, or stories about who I am and opinions and views. So in order to kind of break that habit, so they're not so much about me, I, that's all the stories that we tell ourselves, you really have to be very sensitive to your thoughts, and you have to break the habit. The best way to do that is through some kind of meditation. So it could be a very simple meditation, following your breath. And of course, we give a few basic meditations in the book, or if you find a great teacher or listen to an app or the computer. But meditation is really the kind of the ground swell to start to understand how your mind works, how you think, what your habits are. And then you have a chance at breaking the habits of all the stories we tell ourselves about life and other people and all the strong views and opinions. So that's kind of the really the starting point, I think, is some form of meditation. It could be a walking meditation. It could be swimming meditation. It could be seated meditation. so many different meditations, but that's kind of a great place to start.
Yeah, I know for myself, and I'm sure there's many out there, that I've tried the meditation, but my mind is so crazy. I was diagnosed years ago in the 90s of ADD. I'm not for sure. I think it's just, to me, I think it's just a different mindset, the way my mind works, than just being diagnosed with a kind of what they call almost like a disability. I don't find it as a disability now that I'm 54 years old, but how does one, I hate to get off the subject of, the book itself, but how does one start to build that, at an older age, slowing the mind down, being able to connect a little bit more with the universe, and, trying to rebuild that commitment to being a kind person, like you said, because we don't want to wait till we get on our deathbed to start regretting and start to ask for forgiveness, or, we want to start, kind of creating that before we even come to that point. So how does somebody like myself do that?
Well, if I had a nickel for every person that told me that they can't meditate, or every person that told me I tried it, I have too many thoughts, I can't do it, I'd be richer than Jeff Bezos if I had a nickel for all that.
Wow.
So when I hear that, there's two parts to it in my mind. One part is probably don't have the right teacher, and the second part is expectations. We all have these expectations. I'm going to sit down to meditate, and I'm going to feel so much bliss and quiet and peace. Oh, where is it? And then you don't have it. So what you're experiencing is something called normal or natural. We have a lot of thoughts.
Right.
And they're not going to go away anytime soon just because you sat and meditated for 10, 15 minutes. It takes days, weeks, or even months. And so I think we have to reset our expectations. And the beautiful part of that meditation is that even if you try it and you still have a lot of thoughts,
right,
you get the tremendous benefits. You don't necessarily know that. It takes time, like I said, days, weeks, months to experience those benefits. But the benefits are there. But when we feel like, I tried it for 5 minutes, where are the benefits? I didn't get them. That's just not a realistic expectation.
Yeah. The only time I've really got a result that I felt like I was being connected was with sound bowls. I don't know if you can use sound bowls as some type of a meditation, but that's the only time I went to the what's the one out in Palm Springs, the sphere, the dome.
Oh yeah, sure. I know.
Integratron.
Yes.
And
I was been there a few times during class.
Yeah, that's the only time I've actually felt like I actually made a connection. Like I saw lights, I saw visions, I saw different things, but I completely relaxed. That was the first time I ever done it. So can people use stuff like sound bowls to meditate, or does it have to be complete silence? Or
I just wanted to say a couple of things.
Sure.
You see sound bowls or chanting or these things called sound healings. So the sound, it's good for you, but actually it's very important to what you go through is it's very important to take it as an opportunity. You are still living, it's so wonderful to be living, and then from this moment, the now is the key to change. So you can't just sort of, my things are better, I'm going to change next year or next week, next month. Never going to happen. That's why you have to start right now. The now is the key to transform. To look yourself is you are so talented person doing all these wonderful things, and also even though you go through difficulties, you have deal things. Now you can begin to really care what you want, peace, happiness. You can care this right now, and that brings transforms this week. The week changes month, month changes year. So everything that way slowly, gradually transforms. So, but you have to start right now, because the past is already gone. You can do nothing. The future is not come yet. The moment is the opportunity and the gift.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. One thing that I'm dealing with now in my life, and I like to use myself as an example because I'm always learning, but my father, who is going to be 89 this year, he's in a nursing home. He has Parkinson's disease, and my mother's already gone. How can a guide like the book, and I'm going to show it again, the Tibetan Book of the Dead for beginners? How can this be a guide or a guidance to that may offer, people that are dying or their caregivers? I mean, what can it offer for people that are at the end of their life and they're looking for some answers, or, caregivers that are transitioning with them, not necessarily, dying, but that's a big life change for the caregivers and family.
Yes, definitely. This is very, very important to know is, and you have this father, you're going to take care of him. That's an opportunity. You see, as you can learn in the death and die, and also you have chance to really physically help him. Also, you can read the book and learn more, and also you can help him to his process. And at the same time, you educate yourself. And this is take as opportunity is very important.
And with meditation, I think I saw that, it can be a tool for people that are facing death, and bringing peace into their transition, which I think is great. And how does that work with people that are, getting close to death? How do you create that peace through meditation?
There's so many ways we can talk about. Meditation is one, just come in our mind. The basic meditation is, it's really the simplest and easiest thing. But we have expectations, we want this or that. That's why it's difficult. It's very important to be first to have to learn and how to relax and enjoy this moment, When you do so, that automatically helps. And also maybe you can, with your father, you can sit together and meditate, just to do relaxation and breathing, just like a breathe. Breathe in with the light, breathe out to peace. And that helps also come in him. And also it's talking to him to let go things, also care to say how much you love, care to peace. So that way you can support and help. So something like this.
That's great. So, well, before we have about 4 more minutes before we have to close, but I'm curious on you, Mordy, I'm especially with you, before you really got into Buddhism and the power of meditation. What was your life like, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, because you said you grew up on the East Coast, and I grew up in the Midwest. We have to break patterns. And how was your life before the?
So I was very unhappy growing up, but I didn't realize how unhappy I was until I was 21 years old and I started martial arts.
Oh, wow.
And after a martial arts class, I became very clear, very happy, because for that whole hour and a half or 2 hours, you're really meditating. You're focused. You're in the moment.
Right.
If you're not in the moment, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hit. So it forces your mind to be in the moment. And then when you're done for that 1.5 hour, 2 hour class, everything's very clear, crystal clear. And if you do that enough and enough times, and you meditate before class and after class, that's when you realize the incredible potential that you have in this life, and that you don't have to be unhappy, irritable, angry,
right,
anxious, things like that. So that kind of opened the door for me. And then, of course, I've been hopefully trying to walk that path the last, 40, 45 years or so.
And okay, I'm going to go now to Lama Lhanang. I'm curious. You were born in Tibet, so I'm curious. You kind of grew up in this philosophy. So through your life, have you ever not doubted it, but have you questioned your own belief and your thoughts when you meditate or going through life? Because it's hard for, I guess, us Westerners because we're always been told, vengeful God and, so many things that are negative in the news and social media and just all kinds of different things. Have you had your own doubts in your, growing through life and the philosophies that you've learned?
Thank you. Yeah, I was chosen by 8 years old and went to monastery and grew up there.
Wow.
But I have the most beautiful father. So he's the most beautiful person. And he teaches me so much confidence. And he's amazing. Even though you did something not nice or something you did wrong,
right?
He don't complain or yell. He only talk to you how much he loves you.
Oh, that's great.
And also he talked to you in the consequences about what you did. Then also at the end he said, you never do again because you're such my son and you're the best. Give a hug. And that's the way I grew up. And I always have confidence of anything I can focus. Sort of.
Wow.
It's sometimes I have to be careful because I don't want to trend to my ego. It's just need to live with wisdom and compassion to balance. So that's what I can say.
No, that's great. That's great. And, a lot of people didn't grow up with that type of family. So I'm glad you had that leadership and an example. Well, before we get out of here, so what was your guys' expectation of releasing this book? What do you hope that people take away from the book?
Our expectations, and me and Mordy, we talk about many times, and really benefit much as we can. And these difficult times, we really need this a peaceful and enjoyable way of living. And then if you really enjoy your life, when the death comes, you have a peace. That's what I would say.
And Mordy, what about you? What do you...
That Rinpoche, agree 100%. If people can read it and it helps them be calmer, more peaceful, have a better view, a more positive view of what their lives can be and how their death can be, and how to get through the bardo, the afterlife, we'd be thrilled with that. Whether people are Buddhist or not Buddhist, doesn't really matter. It's for anyone.
So for the people that maybe, are not great at sitting down and reading a book, are there places, I know you guys are in San Diego, do you have a facility that people may be able to come visit and see you both face to face so they can get on the journey that hopefully this book has inspired them to do?
Yeah, thank you. So Rinpoche teaches classes in San Diego, both on Zoom all over the world and, of course, in person. And they can just go to BuddhistSanDiego.com. That's our website. We have a calendar there, lots of different events and practices, and learn meditation, things like that. So BuddhistSanDiego.com would be a great place to meet Rinpoche.
Wonderful. I may have to... Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
No, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. And key trends, then you're going to transform. So everything's good. Look at the good side of life. Don't look at the negative side. Look at the good side and enjoy every moment. In life is amazing.
I agree with you. And even though we have sometimes turn off the news and social media because we don't want to we don't need the negative feedback that we hear on a daily basis. So yeah, life is amazing, and there's many people that don't have that opportunity. So but thank you both. I really appreciate it. I hope maybe to come down and visit you one day, and maybe start my journey on the learning the meditation part of it.
Anytime you wanted to, you can know how to contact with Mordy. If you want to ask us something, or you want to person, if you really wanted to learn a deeper part of path, then I'll be happy to also, maybe next year, so I'm going to give in the 6 part of classes.
I would
Even
love
though
that.
you can join the Zoom, you're welcome.
I would love that, and I'll accept that. So thank you both, and have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll talk to you very soon. And please come back and join us again.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for
You're
having
very
us.
welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate you joining us on Fridays, every Friday for the last 13 years. And we hope that you guys take away some amazing steps to building an amazing life for yourself. Like you said, life is beautiful, so enjoy it. Look at the positive, not the negative. But until next time, I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Please take care of yourself and each other. And until then, we'll see you then. Bye.